when you're trying to, like, not state your heavily biased opinion? This is hypothetical, this isn't related to this situation at all. And you're afraid to talk because you're like, well, what if it just comes slipping outright hate this movie? It was 5 seconds, but it still lasted longer than I thought. Well, cat's out of the bag, and so is most likely the gun you're intending to shoot me with now. But before you do, put it on safety for 7 minutes and I promise I can explain myself. I'll give you 5. Announcer me, put the bat down!
Let's get it started.
In the beginning, there was a martial arts club, and this mole-faced guy said this guy's form was not good.
Kudos to Jackie for keeping his eye off that thing this long. I don't think I can look away.
Nope.
This scene exists for 2 reasons. To remind you that Jackie Chan is still good at Kung Fu. In case you've recently experienced a concussion or have been in cryogenic state for, what has it been, like 40 years? And also to lay the slapstick foundation, which will be used like an oil drill, repeatedly driven into the ground. And hey, I'm a firm believer that there's no better pain than someone else's. However, there's this thing called sympathy pain, which had me on the rope for this whole 2-hour duration with a series of liver shots and a couple that slip below the belt. And it never stops. There's rarely a moment that goes by where someone is not screaming in pain or gasping for air so they can do it again. Back on track. Jackie runs away to join the circus, or to do whatever it is runaways do, because his father was a firm believer in Newton's third law of punishment. For every action, there will be
You got the wrong guy!
an equal and opposite
Are you alright, Master?
reaction.
Take it!
Run, kid! Unfortunately, instead of maturing like most characters would at this point in time, he decides, hey, screw small business.
This restaurant's not bad, huh? Really fantastic, huh?
And eats up half of this place's income, and then beats up the owners into a bloody pulp, which he'll most likely put in his evening pasta forged from their materialized hopes and dreams, put into a strainer and deep fried at 420 degrees Celsius. He's assisted in this robbery by some drunk guy who thought, oh look, a violent thieving delinquent. I like the cut of this jip. Jackie later finds that this was the torture device he had spent the last 10 minutes of his life running from, and is probably rethinking his questionable life decisions. He is then trained in the ancient ways of alcoholism and 21st century boxing classics.
You're gonna kill him!
He grows up big and strong and little to no personality or moral improvement because martial arts aren't interested in spiritual health whatsoever. Am I right? He finally defeats his arch rival, who's an unstoppable killing machine with less wit than a domestic sheep, which has no wit. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't villains supposed to be naturally clever? I mean, even just a lit. If I was trying to kill someone, I can just hire anybody off the street. I mean, I want to know the last thing my enemies are gonna hear. And in this case, I'd hire a rock wrapped in a One Direction poster because it has more personality than this guy. Jackie defeats this walking forward thesaurus in a classic sadistic jerk on sadistic jerk action, and then it ends. Now, before I begin, I'd like to clarify that I love Jackie Chan. That being said, his character sucks. But that's okay, because his personality is duplicated onto every single character in this movie. And by that's okay, I mean it's absolutely terrible, and why would anyone do such a thing? They could just be walking down the street and see a poor guy selling his life's work and be like, hey, I'm gonna waste this guy.
Take this! Yeah! Daddy! Daddy!
Oh wait, that happens. In the case of Jackie, he pressures an innocent woman into thugs?
Kissing her is for children. I could get that broad to hug me. Come on, you're kidding. She wouldn't.
In what universe is that right? And afterwards attacks this girl's mother for kicks. Get it? Cause she can't. Even the one good thing he does in this movie turns sour eventually. He retrieves that old guy's money. Right. This guy's obviously down and out. Right. Let's break every bone in his body like a real hero. Right. In fact, it was so much fun the first time, let's do it again. Right. Rinse, wash, repeat. Now there's the Drunken Master.
Title drop!
Whose name actually describes him perfectly. I mean, the only thing I can really say is he reminds me a lot of Mickey Goldmill in a nostalgic sort of way.
Because I was young once, too.
And of course, the main villain, Thunderleg, whose legs can't take a single step without being followed by some canned sound effect following half a second later. Kinda like thunder. He kills people. He does it for money. And was forced to have a very limited vocabulary because ever since infancy, he's let his legs do the talking.
Beer is good! Beer is good! And stop!
Who here has seen Transformers Age of Extinction? Show of hands. Who here is getting tired of me bashing Transformers? You know what? There was just so much action in there that your brain just didn't know what to do with it. So it left it sitting there in your central nervous system and gave you nervous twitches throughout the week. Is that just me? This movie's like that. Apart from being painfully choreographed at times, the fighting's actually really good. Plus, our main characters are performing in a state similar to taxpayer dollars, as in they're wasted. And let's face it, drunk people are just fun to watch. I mean, look at this guy. Ha! Hilarious! But Drunken Master's biggest downfall was not knowing when there can be too much of a good thing. And eventually you catch yourself pondering the meaning of life inside of a kung fu movie, instead of wondering how the crap is he doing that with his leg. This is a lovely style, and I can't get over how unique it is. However, I'd really like to see it in more than just a movie platform. Because as cool as it looks, it also looks like practicality tripped over the water cooler and fell out a window of a 20-story building. But if someone sends me a link to proof, then I'm sold. Please? Oh, and one more thing.
Because you're about to feel my iron head.
Nice. Watching Drunken Master for me is like being a street hobo pelted with change. It brings up a lot of mixed emotions. I like better characters, I like better moral consistency. But if anyone was looking for that when they rented this movie, they were probably drunk themselves. It's senseless violence, Jackie Chan, and beer. Masculinity level is like through the roof. I'll meet you halfway, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Let the stoning begin. It's a joke! Put the rock down!
I'll sing you a song.
Pull up.
Frank,
Headshot.
Frank,
Sit down.
Frank,
Stand up.
Frank,
Pass out.
Frank,
Wake up.
Frank,
Fade it.
Frank,
Fade it.
Frank.